back at it again. I actually, for funsies, put all of these on a wheel to pick what my next read would be at any given time, so I spun it to decide what we would start with. And so we are starting at the bottom of the pile. The Ghost Rebellion. I believe this series is interesting because I believe the first two were published through a publishing company. Then the third and fourth book were published by a different publishing company. This one was like self-published and funded through like a Kickstarter, if I remember correctly. I don't know. I came into this fandom a lot later than after all of this. So this one and then the short story as well were self-published. So I don't know. Is that like a bad sign? But anyways, so this is the fifth in the series. The fifth and final book of the series. So I enjoyed the first two, but I thought it went downhill after that. I really enjoyed Books and Braun as characters before they got together. Once they finally hook up, their relationship is just kind of, it's not my favorite. I do enjoy their banter usually. It's a steampunk setting, as you can imagine. And that's always a good time. I enjoy steampunk. So even though I think I'm going to be unhauling this series from my shelves, I still think I am interested enough to want to properly finish it out, you know? So I'm going to read the finale. I'm not going to bother rereading the previous books to lead me up here. I'm just going to go in and hope for the best with what I remember. That may or may not harm my enjoyment of this, but like, it's fine. After rescuing Queen Victoria from the clutches of the Maestro, agents Eliza D. Braun and Wellington Books are in hot pursuit of Dr. Henry Jekyll. While he continues his experiments on the aristocracy of Europe, he leaves a trail of chaos and despair in his wake. However, when Eliza and Wellington run him to ground in India, they are forced to come face to face with ghosts from the past and the realities of the British Empire. Meanwhile, Ministry agents Brandon Hill and Bruce Campbell travel deep into Russia hunting down a rare ingredient to save Queen Victoria's life. Within the darkness and bitter cold, they uncover a threat from a revitalized House of Usher that comes directly from their new chairman, a threat that promises to plunge the world into chaos. Is this the final book? No, it's not the final book. Books and Braun will return in 2017, Operation Endgame. Oh, that's so annoying. Whatever, I'm just gonna read it. Why not? I have it, so I might as well just read it and see how I feel. And maybe I'll look to see if Operation Endgame was even printed, because like by this point it kind of seems like they were struggling a bit to continue their series, so maybe it's not even out there. We'll see. With these, since they're gonna take me a little bit longer than comics, I might pop in to update like every, I don't know, should I like pop in every quarter? Yeah. So all right, guys, I am kind of mentally, socially drained today between like dealing with a neighbor, dealing with the neighbor who's nice, but just complaining about my lawn guy mowing like next to her fence, and she doesn't like that, and then trying to talk to the lawn guy to tell him not to mow to the fence, and him not quite getting it. But like, everyone is nice. I can't, and I'm nervous, and I'm like, the whole time I'm talking to him, I'm like doing this, which is making me like more nervous because I can tell that I look just awkward. And I think that's the hardest part about like being awkward, but also being aware about how you're awkward. But like, you can't stop being, I don't know. I'm tired. I'm tired. And that brings me to this, where I'm still, like, I've not gone far, even though it's been a couple days now. But like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, why am I? So I did find out there is Operation Endgame. I could buy it. I could read it. But I don't want to. And it's like, if I intend to read this with the intention of knowing that I'm going to just get rid of it afterwards and not keep it regardless of how I may or may not enjoy it, because I just didn't care for the stuff that came before. Well, some of the stuff that came before. I can't shake the feeling that I'm just wasting my time. You know? I'm starting to read this and I'm already kind of like, I don't remember some of these people who apparently had roles in like the previous book, and I'm not interested in rereading to refresh myself. Finding out that there was another book kind of just, there was no excitement in that, and it just filled me with this feeling like, oh great, now I can't necessarily be done. And it's just like, if I'm already feeling like I'm ready to be done, then I'm already done, you know? And just, why do I feel the need to like properly have closure on this? Like, you know, why? It's that weird, like, awkward mental image that somebody's gonna like just quiz me out of nowhere. And I don't know why I think that way. I don't know why I think somebody's gonna quiz. But the thing is, like, sometimes I feel like I have to read a book in order to like at least know about it, so that if somebody else wants to talk about it, I can participate in that conversation. But the thing is, I don't want to talk about books that I don't like or didn't enjoy or just felt like mediocre about. I want to talk about books that I like. Or if I'm talking about a book that I don't like, I'm usually talking about it with somebody who also didn't like it. In which case, the reasons in which I gave up on a series or a book, that's enough conversation material, you know? So I've decided to not waste my time. This is just gonna go. Like, I'm already done. I'm tired. But this one, the short stories, thrilling tales from the Ministry. The Ministry of Peculiar Occurrences investigates the bizarre and unusual and protects the citizens of the Empire from forces of darkness. Every agent knows that thrusting themselves into danger is part of the job and may demand of them the ultimate sacrifice. They call on their own inner strength, wits, intellect, and innovations of science and technology. But is it enough to face the unknown and the unexplainable? This is Ministry Protocol, Thrilling Tales of the Ministry of Peculiar Occurrences, a collection of short stories from around the world featuring the daring do of secret agents cut from a different cloth. So it's kind of like, this at least still has the potential to be something that I enjoy and would keep, regardless of my feelings about the main series. You know, because I do enjoy the world. I do enjoy steampunk. I do like this idea of secret agents in this kind of whimsical, quirky ministry. So I think I will go ahead and toss this. I won't spin the wheel. I'll just go ahead and kind of replace it with this. And I just wanted to let y'all know, I guess. And also kind of fuss a little bit about life. Okay, update time. I am that far in. That's about like 25%, right? It's like I've made it to page 70. I've read 4 of the 13 stories. And so far there's been like there's this pattern of they're all very short, like 10-ish pages. And there's so far a pattern on the pacing where they start off really strong, but then finish very kind of abruptly. And that's not my favorite, understandably. But there's also there's kind of nitpicky things going on that I'm struggling to let slide. Like, the first story was fine. Ghosts, a young protagonist that's been let go from the orphanage and is having to make her way, etc., etc. That one was fine, aside from like the complaint that I just had. The next one is set in Ireland, and here we go. So this Irish lady is talking about some Irish myth, and she's mentioning some names in said myth, and it's this one, and this one. And then our ministry agent thinks to herself, Miss Snow noted that the girl's Gaelic was near impeccable, or as much as such a strange amalgam of consonants and syllables could be. And this kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. Like, granted, Miss Snow is British, so I guess she would think it's strange. But maybe I'm the one in the wrong here. Maybe this is like a stereotype that I'm wrong to think or assume. But just, my new partner is a woman born, raised, and living in Ireland, I would just kind of expect her to be able to pronounce Gaelic names. Maybe. But the next story, this guy has just left Peking. He goes down into the hold to get whatever artifact that he just uncovered. He finds a dead guy there, throat ripped out, his muscular arms gnawed on, and he's just immediately kind of like, nothing but a cat could do this. I'm really okay. And for some reason they keep swapping back and forth on whether it's a tiger or a leopard. Sometimes they say tiger, sometimes they say leopard. In his mall, he always says tiger or leopard, and I'm just like, these are two very different felines, I think. But I'm no expert, so we'll carry on. And then the story I just finished, I wanted to like at least read 5 stories before I did this update, but this last one, it portrays the legend of La Llorona, but it seems to like mishmash her up with a bunch of other women in white myths or legends, and she's not even attacking or going after children in this story. She's like approaching a bunch of lumberjack men who are like working along this riverside. She's approaching them asking, you think I'm beautiful? Am I beautiful? And saying that she apparently drowned her kids to, I don't know, because I guess some guy she was into didn't want kids, so she drowned the kids. I don't know. Maybe I read that wrong. But either way, it was she was very focused on like men thinking she was beautiful, but then her face is all not. And so she kills them. And it's just like, I mean, that's much more in line with like, what is it? I don't remember her name exactly, but like the split-mouthed woman from Japan. Like, the only thing La Llorona about it is that this ghost apparently, supposedly, drowned her children and now is drowning people, but they're not. She's certainly not going around searching for her lost kids. I'm like, why are we calling her La Llorona? She has nothing to do with this myth, really. So I don't know. That kind of felt a bit like final straw for me. I'm not enjoying this. And it can go. I feel like finding maybe 1 or 2 out of 13 in here that I might really like, it's just not gonna, just doesn't really make this seem worth it for me. So, but I did spin the wheel again. And this is actually pretty exciting because I was debating just doing this, so it kind of worked in my favor. Rereading Firebringer. I've been in such a reading slump lately that reading something that I know that I have enjoyed before, might be what I need to kind of like get me back into the rhythm of reading and kind of remind me how I like to feel about books I enjoy. Kind of remind me of how it feels to enjoy a book, really. So hopefully this, because I can't remember the last time I read this, hopefully it has aged well for me. So yeah, I'm gonna reread this. All right, so I ended up hitting a bit of a low point in my depression this past weekend, and didn't get much reading done because I was kind of just letting myself sleep all day, which, you know, that's fine. But it did kind of lead me to decide to give up on Firebringer. Some of it might be my depression, like I said, but I do think I have to realize that I think I've outgrown the writing. I made it to about 100 pages, 94, 95 to be precise, and I'm just not, it's not the comfort that I was hoping it would be. And a lot of it, and to be fair, it was published 1999, so it was written in the 90s. It's a middle grade, I guess. I'm not sure, because it does deal with very heavy topics like, you know, a lot of death and murder. So it is a middle grade from the 90s. So it's only to be expected that I perhaps have outgrown it. My issue is just with the writing, though, because like I was reading and I was nitpicking a lot of things. You know, they have like their own unique names for like everything. So like Lyra are what all animals are called, but the deer are called Hurla. Larn is like the time when I guess sunset or dusk or something to that effect. Brayla is means hedgehog, but apparently is also a derogatory term for when you're calling someone a little bitch. Selak is like the name of a fawn that doesn't have a living father or doesn't know their father, or a doe that doesn't have a living partner. There's so many new terms, which is fine, except they just all thrown at you and like immediately. I don't know, got a little annoying mostly, but it's fine. A lot of the writing, I think, I guess outdated, I guess is a way to put it. Like there's a scene where there's this female deer, a hind. She's about to give birth. She's kind of in labor. And daddy deer comes to check up on her and be like, yo, what's up? And they somehow talk about this like nearby lady who just gave birth, but the baby is stillborn. And, you know, sad. But then Aloin, the hind that's giving birth right now, makes like this comment of like, oh, but that was just because she's weak. I'll give you a strong baby. And I'm just kind of like, bitch. It's just little things like that where it's like, when I was at the peak of my obsession with this book, I was in middle school. It would have been like late elementary, early middle school for me. And this was a better fit for me then than it is for me as a grown-ass adult in 2025, you know? But that being said, I think the story is still good because, you know, I was nitpicking my way through like the start of the first chapter. Like immediately I knew this was not the same experience that it used to be. And I knew what was coming, and I was worried that the oomph of it was going to not be there because I was clearly not getting, I thought, absorbed. I was just kept getting knocked out with the writing, and just little things that didn't make sense or like whatever. But no, end of chapter 1 and all of chapter 2 still completely rocked me. I'm still sitting there, edge of my seat, like, oh shit, like I didn't know what was gonna happen. So the plot points of this story are still good, I think. The writing just isn't what I need to be to like keep me rooted into it throughout the story, if that makes sense. I'm still gonna keep this just because it has a lot of sentimental value for me. And I might try it again sometime in the future. Maybe it is just my depression kind of fiddling with me. I don't know. And I would still recommend it to people who were like fans of Watership Down or Redwall or Whitebone. Anyone who's into like animal fantasies in general, and maybe just has more familiarity or comfort level with younger books, I guess. I am still hesitant to call this a middle grade because it has such dark topics in it. But just people who have like a better sense of that style, I guess. So, can you hear that frog? But yeah, unfortunately for me, at least right now, did I ever read the back? It is a dark time for the deer. A tyrannical new lord of the herd has ended the old way, the yearly play of antlers that ensured a change of leadership. At his command is a corps of young stags, antlers sharpened for the kill, whose mission is complete domination over the animal world. But a prophecy among the deer promises a hero, a fawn with the mark of an oak leaf on his forehead. His unique bond with all creatures, including humans, will bring a new age of freedom. That fawn is Rannoch. Born on the night his father is murdered, he is hidden by his mother from the deadly attention of the lord of the herd, but soon he is forced to flee, beginning a perilous, wondrous journey. Among the mountains and haunted glens of the great land, the young stag encounters strange herds, makes unusual allies, and at last finds the knowledge and courage to face his extraordinary destiny. Richard Adams, the author of Watership Down, says Firebringer is a riveting story and deserves to be widely read. It is one of the best anthropomorphic fantasies known to me. It certainly gripped me, and I hope and trust that it will grip a large number of readers. So yeah, again, the plot points are good. I still vividly remember certain plot points, and I am kind of curious about what I might have forgotten, but I think it's going to be for me to try another time. I have actually already started on Gaslight Dogs. I decided to skip to this one just because I am familiar with the author. I'm obsessed with her War Child mosaic. It's just a brilliant portrayal of just trauma, and it's a great sci-fi. It's overall, the story is brilliant. But that being said, though, I don't she's currently releasing like Mountain Crown and that whole series. It's got dragons and all that kind of goodness. Unfortunately, I gave it a try, did not vibe with it as much as I was hoping to after loving War Child so much. But this one is also seems to be like some of her older stuff, which clearly I do enjoy. So I'm gonna jump to this and hope for the best. I have not read much, as I said. I think I'm just like 18 pages in. So far, I am enjoying the 18 pages that I've read. I am kind of, it's too early to say I'm struggling, but it's going to take me a minute, I think, to get into the swing of this world. This author, I really enjoy her writing style. It's for the most part pretty straightforward, but she does on like certain phrases or paragraphs have kind of like a purple shade going on, which I enjoy. I enjoy purple writing, but obviously I have like a limit, and I think she does a fine line. It's not too overwhelming. It's not like so pretty that it doesn't make sense. It's nice. There are words that I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce, like the tribe that our main character, Jen, however we pronounce that name, is from, called this. And I guess foreigners, or the people, are called this, and it's that IW at the end. I'm not super sure how to pronounce. There's no pronunciation guide in the book. I did try to Google in case they are like real Inuit words, but I couldn't find anything, so please forgive me for surely saying them wrong. A young spirit walker of the Anu and a captain in the Syracusan army both find themselves unexpectedly thrown together. The Anu girl, a prisoner taken from her people; the soldier, a reluctant student of a forbidden talent, one that may turn the tide of the war and will surely brand him an outcast. From the rippling curtains of light in an Arctic sky to the gaslit cobbled streets of the city, war is coming to the frozen north. Two people have a choice that will decide the fates of nations and may cast them into a darkness that threatens to bring destruction to both their peoples. I will say one of the things that I think I'm going to struggle with getting is like Jarrett, the captain's point of view. It is clearly kind of a story based on colonization, with the Syracusan army being the ones that are encroaching and are out to kind of civilize these native people. And so in Jarrett's perspective, he has that clearly man's racist. Like, he refers to them as abos, which I believe is a shortening of Aboriginal, and in this case obviously used derogatorily. He's referred to them as savage, etc., 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 which is a difficult perspective to read just like in general, but I think particularly in the climate of today, it's just particularly difficult. Which reminds me that this also kind of has like an element that's making it very difficult to read in this particular day and age, which is, you know how in The Lion King, during the Be Prepared song, there's Scar, and then the hyenas are goose stepping, and it's all very clearly a metaphor for like Hitler and the Nazis. That's kind of what's also going with the main antagonist in here. He's very clearly like got them Hitler vibes, and he's creating like his own particular guard that are very loyal to them, which given Nazis. And then furthermore, they also create like a little class for yearlings to join in, and are then taught obedience and whatnot to this lead antagonist. And they're also sent to like spy on their parents, to kind of report any discontent or criticism of this group of deer. And I'm just like, it's giving Hitler Youth. Like, I don't know if that's something I fully grasped when I was reading this so dutifully in my middle school years, and then maybe I probably reread it once or twice in high school as well. I just don't know if that's something I really grasped, but it's so obvious. Forgot that I was going back to my roots with receipt bookmarks, but I'm going to use this bookmark from my buddy who has just opened her own little shop for bookmarks. Sarah's Making is her Instagram page for it. Cute little lace thread crochet, I think it is. With mine has a tassel and a charm, but I believe she's got a option for no tassel if you're not keen on those. It's a great piece if you're particularly tactile and like to just rub on things. So that's what I'm going to be working on. We're back. More on this episode of This Bee Is Not Reading a Thing. I'm struggling with this one. I'm now 86 pages in, which is about 25%. Jen's point of view is kind of very sparse so far. She's had 2 small chapters in that time, and it's I mentioned before that I enjoy this author's writing, but the problem I'm finding that in Jen's chapters, the purple is purplin, and it's fine. It's a little repetitive. I think we're really trying to lean into kind of mystical vibes. And then when we get to Jarrett's perspective, his chapters, which take up a lot more, it's less purple, a lot more straightforward, but it's still repetitive, but like not in a way that I never like repetitive, but this one, like, I'm getting so sick of the word abo. It's easily like 2 to 6 mentions every single page. And I'm starting to reach the point of being like, if it were any other slur that I were like more familiar with, I would have dropped the book. Plus, if it was also an author that I wasn't familiar with and that I enjoyed, I probably would have easily abandoned this book so much earlier. Yeah, it's so far as Jen's point of view chapters, I feel like I've just done without her chapters and just stuck with Jarrett's point of view, and then met Jen in her current situation through him, and then also gradually like learned about these dog ancestors, these I guess spirit animals. But I don't know, like I feel like I want to like this, and I feel like I should like it, but the execution is just not quite what I hoped it would be. I don't know. I did go ahead and spin again, even though I'm feeling really discouraged. I'm feeling very self-conscious that this is kind of my opening where I'm like, I'm going to just get a reputation as someone who just doesn't. Apparently I don't like reading. Apparently I don't want to finish books. But it's fine. It's fine. You know, we go through periods like this. They can't all be winners. I went ahead and spun to pick the next victim. And so, Ryder is next. Let's see. On her long journey home from school, after a fight which will surely lead to her expulsion, Kerrigan Gladion ponders her future as she trudges through the immense forest called Greencloak. But before Kerrigan's ponderings can become a definite plan, her thoughts are interrupted by the clattering of hooves as a galloping horse bursts from the woods, its rider slumped over his mount's neck, impaled by 2 black-shafted arrows. As the young rider lies dying on the road, he tells Kerrigan that he is a Green Rider, one of the legendary messengers of the king, and that he bears a life and death message for King Zachary. He begs Kerrigan to carry his message, warning her not to read it, and when she reluctantly agrees, he makes her swear on his sword to deliver the message for love of her country. As he bestows upon her the gold-winged horse brooch, which is the symbol of his office, he whispers with his last breath, "Beware the Shadow Man." Kerrigan's promise changes her life forever. Pursued by unknown assassins, following a path only her horse seems to know, and accompanied by the silent specter of the original messenger, she herself becomes a legendary Green Rider. Caught up in a world of deadly danger and complex magic, compelled by forces she cannot understand, Kerrigan is hounded by dark beings bent on seeing that the message and its reluctant carrier never reach their destination. Not gonna lie, I'm not actually that impressed by the summary. Your king's name is Zachary? Okay. I don't know. I think this is one of those where, one, the horse kid in me is attracted to it. I definitely, this was gifted to me by a booksta friend, which is why I think I feel even more obligated to give it a try. But also like more anxious because, like, as you can tell, my track record right now in this video is not going well. Not gonna lie, I'm not feeling very optimistic about this one. So I feel like I'll see you in like 2 seconds. We'll see what happens. I can tell you, this is definitely a book that would have been my jam when I was a kid. This was definitely the kind of story that I was into. I'm just kind of worried that I've outgrown this kind of a fantasy. But all right, we'll just see. We'll see. All right, y'all. I didn't get far at all. I can't. So Kerrigan Gladion, our main character, she wakes up. It's still early at night. I guess the moon is maybe starting to set. I don't know. She wakes up. She pushed damp hair away from her brow. Everything was wet with dew, and her clothes stuck to her like a cold and clammy second skin. She remembered aloud why she was here, to get away from Cilium. What? This is an example of like just little petty things that I just can't get past. I can't. Because like, just imagine it. Imagine it. To get away from Cilium. What? It just doesn't make any sense. And I say that as somebody who also talks to themselves out loud. Like, you imagine something in your head and you respond to it out loud, but that's not what this is. It's just this really awkward way of, I guess, delivering exposition to explain what she's doing, but like, there's such a better way to have done that, I guess. I don't know. It's only page 5. And it immediately tells me that the way this author imagines how people is different from how I imagine people. I was already not feeling it. let's not waste my time. Let's not waste your time. I've already wasted enough of your time with this whole ass video. If you reached this point, comment below the petty things that make you just give up on a book. Get away from Celia. Sherlock girl, shut up. So these are the only two I have left. I forgot to spin the wheel before I came to tell you about that. Maybe I'll go for the one that's shorter because maybe I stand a better chance of actually like getting anywhere. I don't know. It's The Silver Lake by Fiona Patton. Anavatin, the magical city of the gods, rests on the shore of shining Golbayaz, the Silver Lake. The city is surrounded by a nearly invisible wall of magic that protects all who dwell here from both the nomadic human invaders and the hungry spirits that are drawn to the living energies of the Silver Lake. It is here in the heart of Golbayaz that, long ago, the gods were born, the 6 immortal patrons of Anavatin and of all who dwell within the city's walls, or almost all. For there are still those, thieves, street urchins, and the like, who have not given their allegiance to any of Anavatin's deities. This year, during the 3-night-long chaos known as Habbo's Dance, 3 young street orphans, Spar, Brax, and Grays, have been chosen for special attention by Inkasa. When that god's dice roll during the height of Habbo's Dance, these 3 boys, thieves and con artists all, will discover their destinies. Each will take the first tentative steps toward fates that could change the future of their world. ... I'm a little bit more intrigued by this one, I guess. So we've got like a unique fantasy pantheon to learn about. Our main characters are thieves and con artists, my favorite. The Midwest Book Review says a fantastic fantasy filled with action, intrigue, and refreshingly original and realistic characters. So let's see, I guess, if any of them are just randomly saying some shit. I think we'll go ahead and try this one next. Alright, I'm back and throwing in the towel. This one, I made it about 43 pages. So my issue with this one, there's kind of the same thing that was going on with Green Rider, in that just really awkward exposition being delivered through dialogue that doesn't make sense. It's purely for the sake of the reader, and there's just no point into it because it doesn't make any sense for it to be spoken between the characters. Like, for starters, there's always like this weird thing of like they have to make a point of saying another character's name in order to like introduce that character. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm not saying people's names like that. You know, like this one, they're just the boy, and then, you all right, Spar? I'm just cold, Brax. And I'm like, all right. So, or then later on when, you know, Spar kind of gives Brax a nudge and points to, and then to some boys that are off in the distance. So Brax then of course says, Grays, he spat, and drove. Spar knows who the fuck they are. You don't have to say their names. Like, that's just for us. And it doesn't make any sense. There's another one where they're talking to each other and where they're about to like meet up. I guess it's some festival. There's something going on. There's some kind of event and they're obviously going to go there, pickpockets. They're talking, and here we go. Still, you gotta watch it, Brax continued, the predatory gleam in his eyes replaced by an expression of caution. Greedy people are careless, but they're also really ugly if they catch you lifting their shine. So you gotta be careful and you gotta be fast. Use the crowds. Keep hidden. That makes it sound like this is Spar's first time and like he's in training or something. But then like the next page, it's revealed that Spar's been doing this with them for 5 years. So like, again, this is just for the benefit of the reader, but it doesn't make any sense for the characters. And so that's kind of aggravating me. But like, it at least made slightly more sense. It doesn't make sense, but it's slightly more sense than what was happening in Green Riders. So we'll push through. Their ages are also kind of a lot younger than I generally enjoy my characters to be in a book that's not young adult or middle grade or anything. Like Spar is 9 and Brax is 14, I think. Grays is 13 and Drove, who apparently matters, like in the book it keeps talking about 4 boys. So I'm assuming Drove matters, but he wasn't in the summary, so like whatever. Drove is 15, so like that's roughly the age ranges, and I'm just kind of like, not necessarily a deal breaker, but it also, especially when it comes to like adult books, which I'm assuming this is going to be, because there was like a random section talking about Brax hitting up some girl to lose his virginity, talking about like an itch he has, and I'm just like, so I just feel like that's going to be like a theme of like his sexual awakening. Like I don't know if there's a time skip and he's going to get older, or if he's just 14 years old throughout this, and you know, but it's like, it's one of those things where it's like 40 something pages and like stuff is happening. I get like a lot of things are happening in these 40 pages, but also it feels like nothing at the same time. Just because I don't care. Like with Firebringer, when I read that, I was not in the book because I was nitpicking the way I'm doing right now. But when things happened, I was still like, because I don't know, somehow I cared about the characters, even in like the first chapter, second chapter. This one, stuff is happening and I'm just kind of like, okay, and like, I mean, someone has even died and I'm just kind of like, okay, and I just don't think this one is for me. I think I missed my window. But then I went ahead and started this one. I've made it 25 pages. And honestly, this one just kind of hurts my head in a way that I'm not enjoying. It's not like there are some books where it's like, it's hurting your head, but the writing is pretty enough where you're like, like The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. That one hurts my brain, but in a good way. This one's hurting my brain in like a, I don't particular, like I'm reading it in a certain way of like, you know, where it's like you read a sentence and for some reason it doesn't click. So you go back to reread it, but slower and out loud, like to just give yourself the best possible chance for it to like register what the hell you just read. I feel like that's how I'm just reading all of this. Like outside, inside, the darkness between the lines, as if any of those parts existed apart from the whole. The web was the web, Romatum, her 18 satellite nodes, from the oldest, Persitum, to the youngest, Coritum, and all the lands between. The perimeter of the web was a well-defined zone of frequent storms and generally unpleasant living conditions. Insiders lived under a node city's power umbrella. Outsiders did not. Pockets of outsiders had settled along the ley lines themselves that ran between those nodes, narrow strips where the ley energy dimly manifested, enough for running a limited number of floater balloon heaters and making lights glow dimly. But the encroaching darkness had proven too unnerving for the average insider citizen's delicate sensibilities to endure for more than the night or two needed to travel between nodes. I don't know. It's one of those where it's like, I know it's early yet. So right now we're still in like the like info dumping section of like every epic fantasy ever. Like here, like Personally, he preferred to ride, as had Nicky, once, before the boy found it impossible to ride 2 horses at the same time. What? Okay. I don't know. I don't think I'm interested. I think I've missed my window for this one as well. I don't know. Honestly, this is kind of the book that's making me like question whether I'm built for fantasy. Like, maybe I'm just too smooth-brained. Like, is it me? Am I the problem? So that would bring me to the end of this, and I basically DNF'd my way through this entire stack. And honestly, my reflex is to like be embarrassed. So part of me is like, just delete this whole video. Don't even put it up. In fact, delete your whole channel. But like, if I knew if it was someone else saying this, it wouldn't seem embarrassing. So like, if it was someone else saying it, it'd be like, you know, great, quick way to get through your TBR to just weed out what is not meant for you at this point. Like, I think I just missed my window on all of these, which is unfortunate for me, but like, it happens. You can't win them all. That is potentially how the rest of this series will go, but like, it's fine. It's fine. We'll get through the shelves faster, and I could potentially start picking up books. It's fine. It's fine. We DNF'd all of that. Basically, all of this will go to my Pango, to like readers who actually enjoy reading, you know. This is the only one that will be staying on my shelf, just for pure sentimental reasons. And maybe I would try it again in the future. So this will go back on the shelf. The rest will go onto my Pango. I'm resisting the urge to apologize for this mess of a video, because it's fine. It is fine. It's fine to DNF books. It's fine to be in a slump. It's all fine. I'll go ahead and pick through the next shelf to build our next TBR and hope for better luck. Bye.